hello, everybody. This is Don with a vlog of many things, and with me is a full house, like the Brady Bunch.
Gotta ask, Don.
Yes.
Where'd you get that intro?
I made it.
Okay, fine. You made it. Okay.
I got the basic shell offline, and then I loaded it with the text and everything using Adobe.
Oh, this is computer stuff. Never mind.
It's the computer.
It's a computer?
Oh no,
Glenn, what the hell do you think you do? How do you make this shit? Do you think I just go ahead and how do you think you do a computer-based, internet-based thing?
You go on a website and take it from somebody and then plug your name in it.
Oh, you pirate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
don't.
yeah,
You
okay, there we
clicky
go.
thing.
I don't code. I get somebody else's code.
I know he dragged me into a coding project earlier today, which is a good thing because I was already set up to do some coding, and he's like, "Yeah, I need you to fix something." I'm like, okay.
Yep. So the form is now working for WizardCon. Well, hi everybody. How you doing, Foogly? Hope everyone's doing tonight. Bad Mike, how you doing?
Good, Mike. There you are.
Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to talk about what makes a good convention, what makes a bad convention. We're going to talk about an incident at another convention that involved zip tying wheelchairs and handcuffing, and I'm being a little over dramatic here, disabled people, and just short of taking service dogs outside and shooting them. What the hell? Why not?
You're making it all sound too kinky. Zip tying stuff and dog being shot. You know?
They did zip tie service devices.
They could be used as I don't know.
So they're zip tying service dogs?
Oh yeah,
That's the only thing they didn't do. They're harassing disabled attendees,
they
including.
denied access to service animals.
Oh, that's bad.
And I don't know about in your state, but you do that in Michigan, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
I think it happens more often than we know. We just happen to hear about this one.
well, this is stupid. It's a major event in Columbus, Ohio, and it's the same location, by the way, that Origins runs their con. So,
And for clarification, this is something called GalaxyCon Columbus.
right, which is apparently it's everywhere. There's a GalaxyCon like every couple of weeks across the country or something.
Nice.
Oh, it's one of those moving
Really,
ones.
everywhere.
And if they're renting out the Greater Columbus Convention Center, they're pretty big.
Oh yeah, Galaxy Con.
My guess is that's probably a $10,000 a day venue.
Oh, probably easily. So of course you hire the best security firm you can.
That's right. Allied Security.
The best trained security firm?
Let's get the security firm that listen. Make it real simple. Just deny everybody. Make sure you take their money, but then deny.
There we go. Or we can go to a furry con and start zip tying them. I don't know.
Bo Paints says service dogs do not equal emotional support animals.
Exactly.
True.
Depends on your state.
Right, but in this case, it was someone with type 1 diabetes, who I believe her dog was trained to detect low blood sugar.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they're out there.
I
Yeah,
didn't know they could do that.
That's a $5,000 to $10,000 dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah.
My wife, they have a service dog at the school that they actually paid to have specially trained. I think she said that alone was $5,000 for the training.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're the real service animals. And Bo Paints has a good point about the emotional support animals. I understand that people sometimes have that, but many times people abuse that.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. They want their animal in there, and they're going to say, "Well, it's an emotional support dog." And the thing is, it's illegal to call them that unless you actually have the license, and you have to carry that with them, with you, proving that it is an emotional support animal.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them.
In my experience, nobody ever who has an emotional support animal ever calls it an emotional support animal. They tell you it's their service animal.
Yeah,
Technically, it is a service animal.
Well,
I mean,
I've seen the emotional support animals who have like the vest that says, do
Yes.
not pet and all that. So
And you'll be able to tell in a moment. This is something that irritates me and my wife all the time. Is emotional. These service animals are right next to their owner. They do not stray around. They don't go sniffing people. I mean,
Right.
they're right there at the ankles of that person. So you can usually tell if it's a bullshit. I'm just going to smack a vest on them or not.
Yeah.
I'll smack a vest on my puppy, and trust me, you'll never believe that she's anything other than.
That's right.
I'm emotional support to everybody. Hello, love me.
Service wiener dog.
I'm no longer a wiener dog. Now it's a cavapoo. The wiener dog passed. We have a cavapoo puppy.
Bad
Okay.
Mike says, I'm okay until you get on the plane with an emotional support tarantula, snake, or rat, which all have happened. Oh, I do not doubt that.
I've seen people bring turkeys on
That's
planes.
great.
and so in Nevada, can you have like an emotional support hooker?
Oh,
Wearing the vest
oh.
and nothing else,
Depending
you know.
where you're
You're not
from.
dead.
I got to bring her along. I'm paying for the hour.
Bo Paint says, legally you can ask what's service dog. In Michigan, you can actually ask for their certification. You are
Yes.
allowed to do that. But then again, they whip out their phone, they put it on, live on their live stream. They make a big deal of it. So really, is it really?
What service does he offer? Well, he opens beers for me.
Yeah.
He likes faces. It's beautiful, and you won't believe it. You'll be very
Brush my hair too.
Well,
Motion glare.
There's
Oh,
always,
I don't know about that.
there's always
Yes.
the story that comes out of Florida. I heard years
It's
ago.
Florida. Never mind. Anything you say, anything you're
Man
getting ready
bringing
to say is
his
not
emotional
surprising.
support alligator on an airplane.
that was a Florida man, right? It's always a Florida man.
Florida man. There you
All
go.
you got to do is say, this happened in Florida, and the instant thing I always pucker up and go,
See, what I don't understand with this story either is like they were taking collapsible canes from blind people and folding them up and then zip tying them because they said it was a cosplay device.
Oh boy.
Now, the ADA, because, hey, I've researched this because there are times my mobility is a little limited.
Yeah.
You can travel on an airplane. You can go through TSA with a cane. Okay? If I can fly with a cane and they can't ask a question about it, why the hell can't I go to a convention if I was legally blind with a cane? Blows my mind. These people are.
Somebody's got a power trip.
It's the Rob, how you doing? We got Rob Conley, Mr. Guns here, Bad Mike. We've got Bo Paints. We've
We
got
got
Chris Lundgren.
everybody. I'm surprised.
Everybody.
I'm surprised Robert isn't on the show.
Mr. Gunn, how you doing? That's the thing. That's the big thing here. But we're getting kind of good talking about conventions here. And yes, I am. And Bad Mike is the hugely experienced one of the bunch here. I am still in with my second year, but I want to kind of talk a little bit about what makes a good convention and what should you not do with a convention. And
Good topic.
there are a lot of people in here who have a lot of experience going to conventions. Bad Mike, of course, runs a fairly large convention that's been around for what? God, is he up? What, 15 years now?
Something like that. I've lost track. I've been going since 2014. So
So
Well, for the first thing you don't want to do at a convention is randomly zip tie people.
yeah, that's
No.
totally out. Or play killer.
Let me just
Chris Lundgren says,
nose.
I may sound crazy, but I have 2 guinea pigs that do help calm my nerves, and my doctor did write a note to my landlord at the time so I could keep them. Yes, but you don't take your guinea pigs.
On an airplane.
Yes. Doc from Lingo, thank you very much. Went ahead and did a super chat for $2.
Okay.
Much appreciated.
Wow. My 18th year for North Texas.
18 years? Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Wow.
Bad Mike, you're getting to be elderly in this in the
no, he's just getting to be elderly.
Somebody else should.
Period. He was ill yesterday. He dipped out on Talking Crit. By the way, Mike, just so you're not surprised, in 2 weeks, Talking Crit's on Tuesday, the 23rd. because I found out I'm not home on the 24th, and you'll be very lonely without me.
Mr. Gunn says fast registration.
Mhm.
I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Lundgren says, I want a damn OSR Independent RPGs convention in SoCal, but it's like pulling teeth. Yeah, I'm in Michigan. Bad Mike's in Texas, so you're SOL unless you want to fly to
What
Michigan.
happened? I mean, I used to go to OrcCon there, but
I think OrcCon's gone now.
is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Rob Conley says, my limit is to run one event a day, and that's it. Still getting a handle on the whole I'm a vendor thing. You did really good at WizardCon last year. You ran your events, and your beautiful wife, unfortunately, was not able to attend very much because you had like a vehicle issue, transmission or something, didn't you? I thought Rob had a vehicle issue.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
How would I know?
So let's see here. Bad Mike says, I can do the 23rd.
Okay, good.
Oh, OrcCon is still around, it says.
Is it?
Yeah. Chris is, yeah, it's in.
Chris Lundgren says, as I got my diabetes, I have less need for them. That way, anyhow, I'm realistic and practical. Rob says, I'm also a sucker for big production miniature war game that go all out on training props. Well, Joe Block messaged me the other day. He's coming to WizardCon, and he's setting up several games, and Joe really does the big... I mean, he's specifying he's like a 4x8 table, you know?
Yep.
So we got him hooked up, and we won't have to lift
He's
up
kinda
tables
like-
over
yeah.
Darlene's head this time, so that's a good thing.
Kind of like the Dwarvenaut. Can't remember his name.
Yes, Mr. Gunn says a good usable website. That's why we have gotten rid of tabletop events. We're not independent yet of the new version of tabletop events that we're going to be utilizing, but we have got a website up that is, I think, really simple just to buy tickets. We today, as of today, have the ability for people to go ahead and sign up for games. They can or not sign up. They can go ahead and register their games, and then by tomorrow we'll have the event schedule up.
What
So-
is what's the convention running as far as like badges go? How much?
I think we have 50 on them.
50? That's good.
Yeah, for a weekend. It was either 50 or 55. Let me double check real quick.
55.
I know, shame on me.
me.
55. Yeah, it's 55 for a weekend, $80 for VIP, and then $22 for a day pass.
Yeah.
So,
I'm starting
Plus
to
you
get
got
priced.
the $50 bribed on amount.
yeah.
I'm starting to get priced out of cons anyway.
RPG Grandma, nice to see you.
Hey. Yeah.
Have not seen RPG Grandma in a few weeks. Nice to see you. Hope everything's all well. OrcCon is still around. Good.
It's in February. I just looked it up on fancomics.com.
One of those cons that does it over President's Weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Like
Mr.
Dunder-
Gunn says, clear instructions posted everywhere for us dummies who have trouble reading instructions. Well, that's one of the reasons why we got away from tabletop events is because I don't know how bad Mike feels about this. He's probably used to it by now. But tabletop events is not conducive to somebody who's not used to the site.
Right.
Not good for new conventions starting up. It's very counterintuitive.
I found it a pain in the ass when we were trying to register for games at ShireCon.
Yeah. Clear policies and procedures. Yep, we did that. We have a policy section. We have a cosplay, a regular, just general showing up for the convention. And then we have a firearm policy that is not political, but I'm going to clarify this real quick because there's a lot of people that are very pro-gun. I'm not anti-gun by any stretch. However, in the state of Michigan, if you have an event that is over 100 people, it's considered an arena. And in the state of Michigan, arenas cannot have CPL holders, like you can't bring a gun unless you are law enforcement and you're legally allowed to carry it off duty. But for concealed carry, open carry, and CPL, you cannot bring a firearm to a event like that. So that's not us doing it because we're anti-gun. I already got accused of being that way. It's just because that's the law, and we've already talked to the Michigan State Police and the Emmett Township Police Department. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if there's one police department in my area you do not want to F with, and that is the Emmett Township combat boot wearing, blouse boot, black coverall wearing police department that they are. They have zero tolerance for nonsense, and they are well known for no tolerance. Yeah, I'm not joking. You guys have no clue. Emmett Township is just like, but that's a good thing.
Right, you know what to expect.
How do people play games in that township?
Well, that's the whole point. People don't sit there and mess around with Emmett Township. It's even well known around here. The safest township to live in.
So you can't play D&D there. Wow.
That kind of game, Glenn.
There's games and there's games, and that's not the game.
Yes.
Again, that's my
RPGs like Pathfinder. I mean, the thing is that's the whole thing, though, Chris. The whole thing about game conventions, I think Bad Michael will agree at this, is you're kind of at the mercy of who you have coming because it's the convention goers that set the games up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can push a certain type of game, OSR or whatnot, but you have to be welcoming to everybody. Also, I think is it North Texas does not allow 5e, do they?
Oh yeah, there's 5e there.
They do.
5e 2014, no 5e 2024.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a diss right there.
Yeah, that's understood. Yeah, I've seen 5e games there. It's like, what? But they're the outliers.
Yes. Well, we're Rob. We're in Battle Creek this year, and it's gonna be our permanent home. So, a lot easier to navigate than Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo is kind of a nightmare.
Is it?
Kind of ghetto.
Yeah, not a ghetto. Chthonic Musings 188. Hiatus, how you doing? Someone's puppy is going nuts. Historicon.
This is the part where I mute my mic.
Historicon is awesome.
Isn't that the big mini? Is that the big mini tabletop game that happens?
It's a war game convention. Historic.
Is it down in Texas or someplace down south?
Pennsylvania, and then it went to Virginia briefly, but I think it didn't have good success in Virginia.
Yeah.
I went to it when it was in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Gotcha. Well, starting next year, Tabletop Events is going to have competition because we're putting out our own version of Tabletop Events. That site pissed me off so bad.
You talked about is it still a problem with the Pathfinder Society?
That was a whole pile of poop, wasn't it?
Well, I've heard they in the past they've like taken over conventions.
No, with the problem that we had around here was Bolt Action. The guys at the local Kalamazoo Bolt Action Club got mad at us because we wouldn't give them 20 tables. They wanted 20 tables. Tables, 20 tables, guaranteed the entire weekend.
Nope, that ain't happening.
Yep. Eric, you were going to say something.
Yes. Bad Mike wants to pop in and give some ideas about conventions. I'm just trying to. Copy the link from.
Hold on a minute. Let me give you just 1 second. Let me drop you the link here, Eric.
Yeah, just a face. I'll forward it to Mike. If I copy it, then Facebook does all wacky crap.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to have Satan online with us.
Oh no.
The Bad Mike.
The Bad Mike
Center.
All right, Mike. It's forwarded to you. Don't say I didn't do nothing.
Yep. Okay, Bo Paints Minis makes an interesting thing, and this is actually in our rules. He says, I don't want promoters to advertise their political agenda everywhere. That is one thing that we specifically say that vendors are not allowed to do. They're not allowed to wear, if you're pro-Biden, pro-Trump, pro-liberal, pro-conservative, keep it off. We don't care. Keep it out of the convention.
So I can't wear my Mike Dukakis hat?
Nope, you can't wear your Mike Dukakis hat.
So you can't.
And you have him in a tank.
Yeah, so you can't be pro alien grays.
No. So, but we're doing that on purpose just because politics is so divisive.
Yeah.
And it's better just to say no than it is to deal with why did they have that hat on? Why did they have that shirt on? How come he gets to have that and I don't? It's just like.
All right. But I do have one important question. Mm-hmm. Can I wear my Make Arity Great Again? That's the one for Greyhawk. All right.
Yes.
All right. I got to find my hat.
Fantasy politics are allowed.
All right. I wore it in public once, and somebody gave me the weird look because they couldn't figure out what this red hat that wasn't talking about America, and they were very confused.
Mr. Gunn, Rob, you're right. It's the Holland Tulip Festival is a big thing here in Michigan.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, they do have lots of parking, and they're all laid out exactly the same way. So, well, the convention's firearm policy is keep it concealed. That's the problem in Michigan. If you have a CPL and you are at a convention and you're caught with it, you are being arrested. Your gun's being confiscated. And you're being charged with felony firearm.
Mhm.
They will.
Felony.
Felony.
They don't mess around.
They do not mess around. Michigan. It's because over 100 people is considered basically a venue.
Oh,
Mr.
Mike.
Mike, how are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
I thought you were
Hey.
home.
No, we're traveling back. This is our hotel room. We take it slow going back home because it's hard to get used to regular life again after a month on the beach. So
Bad Mike is at another resort.
yeah, we were at a resort where the cabana boys and girls, the
Yep.
free drinks, no, we didn't have any of that. We had none of that. No, I just want to jump on because you were actually talking about something I know something about.
You know a little
once.
bit about it, yes.
I
That's why we
actually
have
know a
you.
little bit about it, and I wanted to make a couple points because you guys
Sure, go ahead.
you're all making great points. By the way, everybody making good points. But first of all, a couple of things that were specifically asked. I'm going to go in order they're written. The guns thing. That's interesting. You said that, Don, because that's something that people don't think about. We had some people a few years ago that said, "Hey,
Yep.
do you allow guns at your convention?" And here's the thing: Doug Ray, who was the co-founder of North Texas, was an ex-Marine, ex-police officer. He carried at any one point 2 to 3 guns on his person at all times, and he's a big Second Amendment guy.
Mhm.
The thing with us is we told them, they said, we are in a hotel that we have to abide by whatever rules the hotel sets.
Yes.
So in other words, in our case, we couldn't say no to guns because the hotel allowed guns. So we couldn't be different than what the hotel was. And the same thing is with any space. Like you said, a convention center, most of the times they're going to be no guns allowed. And it doesn't matter if you support guns or not. You can't, if there's signage up there that says no guns allowed, you can't. We had the opposite situation where they said, yes, open carry, concealed carry is allowed, or no, open carry is allowed. So we had to tell people, look, we can't do anything about it. If you don't like guns, we understand. And if you don't want to come to the con, okay, but there's nothing personally we could do about it. Because if the convention, we're in the hotel, whatever the hotel allows. And we had somebody in a corollary to that, we had somebody this year asked if there's a way they could limit animals because they're allergic to animals. And we can't because the hotel.
What's interesting about
animals,
that?
So
what's interesting about that, Mike, is in Michigan, the hotel allows firearms. Their rule is if you're a CPL holder, you can bring your firearm to the hotel. But the problem is events that have over 100 people are considered an arena. And by Michigan law, you can't have firearms at the arena. And that was something I did not know about. It was the hotel that brought that up to us. So I can't.
Well, makes a good point, though. That's a good point, Don, is that really before you plan a convention, you need to go to your venue and find out how they stand on various issues. Because after the gun thing came out, we did ask our hotel, what about this? We found out that if you're in a hotel, you have to abide by whatever the hotel. Now, this is what's interesting. The hotel also has to abide by whatever the county says. For instance, during COVID, Texas had a very liberal policy when it came to wearing masks. In other words, you didn't have to wear a mask. And so people would say, well, people are going to be wearing masks. And I said, well, you can wear a mask if you want to, but our county specifically prevents us from saying you have to wear a mask. We would suggest you wear a mask, but we cannot make anybody at our hotel wear a mask because the county itself, the county would have come down on us and said, whoa, you can't do that. So a good point to make, because this has to do with conventions, is be aware of what the venue allows, what the city allows, and what the county allows, and at the end what the state allows too. Because we had a couple years ago at a Gamehole Con, the county that Gamehole was in, Madison, where Madison is, that was the only county in the state where you had to prove you had that you had your COVID shot. All other counties had already dropped that because I think it was like 2021. It was after the COVID thing had passed. And Alex was like, do we really have to do this? They said, unfortunately, that's the only county in Wisconsin that you still have to prove your thing. Now, what he did was he said, well, so basically you have to check. Well, they checked, but what are you going to do? If somebody has a card, are you going to call up a number and say, is it valid? Is it current? Whatever. So as long as you show them a piece of paper that had an X by shot, you were fine. They weren't going to do any hardcore, but that was the only county. So yeah, he had to be aware that was the only county in Wisconsin that made you do that. So be very aware of what your venue, city, county, and state allow before you do a convention, because it may be at odds of what your audience wants. Your audience. I mean, maybe they have an anti-furry or anti-furry costume policy. So don't plan your furry con.
Don't zip tie.
You're going to show your furry license.
Yeah. Well, that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, make sure you have your furry's license.
We ended up reaching out to Michigan State Police and also the local township police department, because we just wanted to make sure that we were going to be in compliance, and they basically all deferred to the state law that kind of oversees.
Mm-hmm. And the great thing about that, Don, is it lets you off the hook, because the thing about the masks, Doug and I were like, look, it doesn't matter what Doug and what we want. The county says that we cannot we cannot make you wear a mask. So if you don't want to come and you don't feel like you can come, that's your own choice. But we can't do anything. It's illegal for us to insist you wear a mask at North Texas because of where the county we're in. So it actually gets you off the hook a lot in cases where people get all bent out of shape. You're like, hey, what can we do? This is what the county says.
That was our big reply was, we got no choice, because it actually was brought up to us by when we just posted our website up, and the first thing I got hit on was the firearm policy. And a guy said, listen, this is Second Amendment. I open carry. Michigan's an open carry state. I'm bringing my firearm if I buy a ticket. And that's when the hotel said, you guys are over 100. And so we reached, like I said, we did our reach out. But you're right. It takes the hook off of us, because we can defer to the state law then.
Right.
But
here in Maine, it's constitutional carry. You have a Second Amendment right. You can just strap a gun on your hip and carry it. Now, if you have a permit for concealed carry, which is, you can get that. You can go to the police station.
Yeah, Michigan calls it a CPL.
Yeah, you can get those, and that there are certain places that say no firearms, and that applies to constitutional carry, but not to a concealed carry permit.
You see, there's the difference. In Michigan, we have constitutional open carry. We also have CPL, which is concealed pistol license. But the thing is, with Michigan, the way the Michigan law is written, there's certain areas that even with a CPL, you cannot bring a firearm. Like, you can't bring them to schools. You can't take a gun into a school, things like that. And so because of mass shootings and that thought, Michigan kind of adopted a law that said, listen, arenas are also in that. And then the way it was explained to me by the Michigan State Police was, a couple of years ago, there was a question of, what's an arena? So they just said, listen, we're gonna make it 100 people or more in an events arena. So that's kind of what they did. But Bad Mike makes a good point. It just takes the onus off the convention. We just say, hey, listen, it's a law. We're complying. And so, but
I want to bring up a couple other things that you mentioned. We do allow 5E at North Texas, except we don't allow the new rules, because our Gary and I, our philosophy is that WotC tried to destroy the OSR, and they did by saying that we're going to destroy the OGL, and so we don't. We for us, D&D ended at 2024. That's our cutoff date. Any D&D rule systems past that.
But Mike, have you had any pushback from that though, from anybody at all? Really,
zero. You know what? We're finding out. This is probably a subject for another day. That the new rules really just aren't getting much traction on the community anyway. People play 5e. They play old school 5e. And if anybody, I've told a couple of people that, and they're like, oh, no problem. They don't. Most of them don't use those rules anyway, so it's not a big deal. They just can't. Basically, we list it in the program. We can't. We tell them, look, we'll list it as 5e, but that's all we're going to say. We're not going to say 5e using the new rules. You do what you want, but we're not going to give them any publicity, because in our opinion, they tried to put a lot of our friends out of business. Tom Wilson and Bill Barsh and all these, Rob Colley. They try to put these guys out of business by saying, we're not going to allow you to bring any publish any OSR products. So we allow that. We don't allow the new 5e that nobody plays.
Good
anyway.
for you, Mike.
And
Good for you.
Thank you. And the thing about the Pathfinder Society, I've told this story a lot. That's one thing. If you wanted to talk about conventions, be very careful about who you partner with, because if you want to have a convention, most of the time you want to have a very inclusive convention where you allow pretty much any game that comes along. You don't. There's a lot of conventions I know that they really concentrate on this game. Like, for instance, the old PaizoCon, which PaizoCon doesn't really exist anymore, that they only let you play Paizo games there, or they let you play, I think it was Pathfinder, which to me very much limits your audience.
But they're very upfront on that.
Limited.
They're a themed convention.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But we had issues. Our issues were when we started researching stuff like the Pathfinder Society and groups like that, is they basically go to your con and they have a con within a con. They don't interact with the other people in the con. They play their games. They want their own room. They want their own tables. They want their own stuff. And then they go there, they do all that, and they don't interact with anybody.
That's the way the RPGA used to do it too.
And we that's not the atmosphere we wanted for our con now. And they had asked to come to our con. We did a little research. We said, we're just going to pass. They said, well, nobody ever passes on the Pathfinder Society. Well, we just don't feel like this is not the kind of con we're running. We're running an old school con, and we want people to mingle. We want a 5e guy to be able to play in a 1e game. We want a 2e guy to be able to play in a paranoia game. We want a guy that's playing Toon to be able to. We want all this. We want everything mixed together. And just from our research and from what I've seen, anecdotally, when you have that kind of thing. That's why we don't allow card games at the con either. And not that we don't like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, that's great. But when you have that in, they're usually, those people are there just to play that game. They just want to play Yu-Gi-Oh. They just want to play Pokemon. They just want to play Magic. They don't mix with other groups. And we didn't want to have cons within a con. We wanted to have one con where we had everybody there. Now, if that's your deal, that's different. But I would tell you to be very careful about who you take sponsorships or money from in that regard, because you don't really want to have, one whole chunk of your convention doing one thing.
That's why we said no to local bolt action guys, because the local bolt action, they want to take over, half the con with their tables and everything. But
that was a good decision, because like I said, I just think it limits you. It's very seductive to a lot of people, especially when you're starting a new con, because I know the Pathfinder Society offered us a lot of free stuff. I mean, we're going to give you all this free, shit. Can I say shit on this show?
Yeah,
all this free shit. Okay. I didn't know if it was talking crit rules, or if we, if you guys classed up the place,
They have me on. How classy can it be?
I mean, I saw Glenn in the corner, so I knew it wasn't that classy.
But real quick,
so that's one thing to think about, is think about who you're taking. So and if you have Magic at your convention, they will give you some really nice stuff. If you have Magic tournament, but like I said, that takes away a giant chunk of your resources are going to be geared towards that Magic stuff, and they're not going to mingle with the other people. They're going to stay in their room playing.
And the best part about going to a convention is trying something new.
Absolutely, man.
My best memories of Historicon were just trying something really oddball. Like this guy ran it was Moby Dick, and you were in a whaleboat. You were running a whaleboat full of men, and you were and when the whale surfaced, you hoped you were close enough to try to harpoon him, and then you went for the Nantucket sleigh ride. That was the coolest game ever, and it was so it was a war game. Technically, but it was so out there and
it's
weird.
Different.
And I'm thinking, I read Moby Dick back in the day, and I'm thinking all these Moby Dick quotes, and I was dropping them during play, and nobody got it. And I was like, y'all suck. You guys need your book. But
well, Fugly asked a question. He says, when is Glenn's book coming out on Kindle? It is pending right now with Kindle, and also at Barnes & Noble ebooks. So
Barnes & Noble's kind of dragging their feet.
Barnes and
They
Noble
do that.
always drags their feet because they have to go for national distribution in their stores. So
I keep looking though.
Greyhawk Grognard, hey Joe, he says with the headphones, Steven looks like a bean guesser.
I had to tell Bad Mike yesterday. I actually had a book out because he's been
Yes.
he's been in a resort all month and he didn't even.
No, it's not a. It was not a resort. It was a condo. My God, they had a stove from like 1985 there. That, by the way, the oven didn't work.
Nice.
So I mean, it was not a high class joint, guys. Let me just let you know. But it was by the beach. That's.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think Chris Lunger says I'm an adult and playing the RPG. I want to avoid the politics of my game. The thing is I think each convention has to have the rules. I mean, your convention, Mike, has real grounding, real foundation. So, I could see you over the years you've really honed your rules set down and your audience down.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think pretty much your customer base, if you will, for your convention is pretty set. I mean, do you see a lot of?
And that once again, Don, good. Yeah, it's a good point. And so, if you're looking at, if you want to start a convention or if you want to do a convention, I tell a lot of people. I always, when they say, "Oh, we're starting a convention," I say, "What's your hook? What is your convention's
What makes it
thing?
unique?
What do you like? What do you mean? Like, what is?
Yeah.
Are you just going to do Gennaro convention number 427 where everybody comes in and it's a lot of five, this, that, or do you have something that's going to make your convention? And ours is old school. Obviously, we do a lot of old school stuff. We have people that run Boot Hill, which very few conventions in the United States run Boot Hill. We have bunnies and burros every year, which that is like, very few conventions. So we try to get these really old school, out of print games that nobody else has. And I told people, I said, it really behooves you to have a hook. Like, say, this is what our convention is really about. Is it about war games? Is it about, just to have something that makes it that people say, okay, that's the convention that does fill in the blank. It's going to set you apart from the crowd. And look, that thing may be DCC. Yeah, we do a lot of DCC at our con. I know some cons that are real big DCC cons. Obviously, you got a con like Chaosium Con. What do? They do Chaosium games. They do Call of Cthulhu. You want to play Call of Cthulhu? You play Call of Cthulhu the whole weekend. That's all there is Call of Cthulhu games. So I would say, tell people, especially if you're starting a con, find that one thing that's going to set you apart. So you're not just that same con that you're just running, but a lot of 5e and maybe a couple other games. Find something unique or interesting that you can hang on to. And when you explain to people about your con, you can say, we're the con that does fill in the blank. I mean, maybe you're the con that has, you're like Paige and you have 100 special guests. I don't know what Ron's thing is yet, but
the thing is, you bring up a good point earlier about you have to be careful about, not allowing a game even to take over your convention. Because, with Bolt Action, we also had this year we also had a local game shop want to put on tournaments for Magic the Gathering. And he had very specific, wide-ranging requirements. We were just like, can't do it, because we don't want the game. We don't want the convention to be about Magic, and you can offend some people pretty heavily telling them no. And his attitude was, well, if I'm going to be a vendor, then I can have my tournaments and I can do my tournaments at your convention. I'm like, well, that's the problem. We're a large gaming space. We're not broken up into several rooms. We're not that big yet. So we're one large room, and you're wanting to do announcements and basically, PA it and have six tables dedicated around you. Yeah, we just can't do that.
That's way too much. Yeah, that's way too much for one vendor, one person. And I agree with you, Don. Yeah, absolutely. You have to cast a wider net, because you're trying to get a lot of people in there
to play in his games. And it's like
a tough one too. Yeah.
The
other thing you said, you talk about tabletop events, and so I have so many stories about tabletop events. But I will say that the pros and cons. The pros are it takes that. You don't have to deal with it. That's something you don't have to deal with. You just, okay, we're just going to use tabletop events. A lot of people use tabletop events. If you have an account for, I have an account there, so it's good for any other convention that runs an event on tabletop events. And I've had people gift me, stuff from one event. Okay, well, yeah, I'm on tabletop events. You're on tabletop events. Yeah. Okay, I can switch my tickets over to you. That's cool. So it does some things like that. But I will say, even though it's been out for a decade, it's clunky. They don't innovate very well at all.
Yeah.
They're
He's frozen.
to a lot of things that you want to do. Doug had a long few with tabletop events. Okay, I'm sorry.
You're kind of breaking up, Bad Mike.
My bad.
Mike, you were breaking up there. Is Bad Mike freezing up for everybody here?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he's
It's actually typical Bad Mike. See,
This is
Bad
bad.
Mike is like max headroom without the bandwidth.
Gotcha, because he is absolutely locked on my screen.
Yeah, he's actually locked.
By the way, somebody asked what the name of my book is. It's When the Fat Orc Sings.
Yes.
So look it up on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. It'll be on Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
Let's go down here.
And Kindle soon.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm back. That's why anytime I use a headphone, this happens.
But you make a good point about tabletop events. The problem that I had with tabletop events was, as an example, on convention, it was the Saturday of convention. I had a customer come up and we had misspelled his name on the badge. And he was really upset about that. So I went back, got on the computer, and it was telling me that I did not have rights to access my account.
Oh.
So I was locked out of my own account on the Saturday of the convention. Plus, we were getting, Phoenix Con was having the same issues. They were on their Facebook griping about it, and such. So, what we're doing is we're just creating our own version of tabletop events, and if people want to use it, they can. We know that they have a firm grounding in it, because of the people are just locked into it. But hopefully with something that's a little bit more responsive, phone wise and such, a little bit more easy to use, easy to set up. We'll maybe start drawing some people to it. We're going to have to wait and see on that.
Well, out of all the big conventions, Gamehole very famously uses their own system, and it works great. I mean, they have a professional system that somebody actually coded and did all the hard stuff for. Most conventions do not have those; they just don't have that ability, and they don't have the resources to do stuff like that. So that's why most people use tabletop events. It does what it does. Okay, it's not the best out there. Doug had a lot of running battles with them because there was just these really simple things, especially at the beginning, they could have added that he had to fight for. And I'll tell you, one of the things that was just ridiculous when we were on there, we found out that you could register for an event at a con without actually registering for the con.
Yes.
And Doug found that and said, this doesn't make any sense, because we could see some very nefarious scenarios where somebody could go, oh, I'm going to try to screw over Don's con, and I'm not even going to go to the con. I'm going to sign up for every event there. I'm going to do it with 10 times, and then I won't show up, and nobody, or worse than that, I'm going to run 10 events, and then I'm not going to show up for those events. Doug brought that up to him, and their reply was, well, nobody would ever do that.
Yes, they would.
And Eric, what happened at my con?
And I'm like,
Oh my God! Some certain GM signed up and ghosted.
Yeah, we had a DM sign up for like a half dozen games.
Really?
Ghosted us, and it's like,
so it does happen. And so they reluctantly finally dug badger enough. They added a on-off switch where you could have that feature on or off, which was dumb because it should be on for everybody. But the default was off. So yeah, you could register for I'm going to run 100 games. So they're very famously not that responsive about stuff, and it's because they kind of have a monopoly.
But also,
they have a monopoly.
But they got the monopoly. But also, the code that they're using has been cobbled. It's not originally designed to be a tabletop event.
Very much so.
It was just an event, a basic event for like weddings and such, and they've basically cobbled on all this code. And I noticed, like as an example, when I tried to reach out to them when I had problems. Like I have a technical question. It's almost like they don't understand their own website because
They might not, Don, because like I said, Doug used to have a lot of battles with it. And by the way, these are not the original owners of Tabletop Events. That guy sold it to these people 3 or 4 years ago. So these aren't even the original owners. They're using code from years and years past, and they're just adding.
yeah.
And you know how that works. They just add on to code, add on. They're not going to shut it down and start the whole thing from scratch. So they just keep cobbling code.
Well, they're utilizing right now PHP 5.
Jeez, yeah.
And that's like way outdated. And so they're not even, the problem that they're having is, and again, you know, I know what they do, they do a decent, you know, job of what they do, but it's just because they got the monopoly on it.
Yeah.
And they have they got no reason to improve it. You know,
no, I mean, there's no, because they are virtually a monopoly. And like I said, and there was a time when, you know, I wish, unfortunately, Doug passed away, but he was looking at becoming a competitor at one point. And I think if he'd have lived or actually not gotten cancer and had the time and the energy, he absolutely would have done that because he had the resources and he had the knowledge, you know, because that's what he did was computer code.
Well, that's what we did.
We looked at that.
We were either going, we originally were going to go the course of, we were going to basically do a different version of Drive-Thru RPG. But then I experienced Tabletop Events. I was like, no, I think there's a better market for build a better mousetrap. That's more easier to use, more friendly to use, and I think it can be done. So that's what we're in the process of been doing now for 7 months.
That's very smart, Don. I think it's good. But by the way, we had an opportunity. So during COVID, so many people canceled events because everything was being canceled in 2020 that basically Tabletop Events went out of business because they had no business. Doug approached them to buy Tabletop Events. He wanted to buy it, strip it down from and then build the code all back up and having actual real coders do it. The guy was very reluctant, didn't want to sell, he didn't want to sell, but, and so they went back and forth for a while. And unfortunately, well, I guess it worked out. Somebody else ended up buying. And they're doing it, like I said, they do an adequate job, but it's not the best thing out there. But I will say, if you're starting a con out and you don't know how these things run, it's probably your best bet. It's just to use Tabletop Events.
It is, because like I said, but the biggest thing, even and I'm computer savvy, and even I had difficult navigating their stuff.
It's not intuitive, is it?
At all.
It's not intuitive, but let me bring up. I wanted to bring up one thing because you talk about what makes a good con, and so this is something that Doug and I. This was kind of one of the things we lived by. We sat there. We said, okay, our con to be it has to do with pricing. How much your con, how much you pay your con, and we brought up pricing, and we wanted to have a father and 2 children affordably.
How's that working out for you?
Can you guys hear me? Okay, because it keeps saying it's reconnecting here. I'm on a
off and on
internet. But yeah, so we wanted to be affordable.
Oh God.
We wanted to be affordable for a family of 3 or 4. And at that point, that's when we decided to make kids free. Kids can attend free. I don't know if they can hear me or not.
Chris Lundgren brings up a good point. He said the GM should have everything ready to go, including pre-gens. I might slightly disagree with that.
Well, if you're running Ghostbusters, you don't need pre-gens. If you're running Hyperborea, Glenn, you probably need pre-gens.
Well, I don't know. I try to pick out the simplest.
I am speaking.
We can spend time doing it and go.
Thank you.
No, you're fine, Mike. You're just really bad connection right now, so you're kind of jumping in and out.
I don't know if you heard my point, but it was that we wanted to make her be able to afford to come to the con without breaking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so we had, like I said, that's why we do kids 12 and under free. And I think that's important because if people don't come to your con, obviously, if it's that expensive, I wish I could go to your con and bring the kids, but I can't. Well, then you're losing out on future customers. So these are going to be your future customers, the kids, eventually.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. Think about. how you're pricing
Well,
your con.
and
So
that's why
that
kids are
price
free
is
for us, because our view on
super
it
high.
is kids are going to be the next generation. Let's get them into the gaming. Let's get them into conventions and experiencing them. You know, so Bad Mike, what is your child age cutoff for free?
I believe it's 12 and under are free. 12 and
Yes,
under, I think it's Gary. Gary's not on tonight, but 12 and under are free. So
yeah. We don't have a name specifically set yet for it. We have a couple different ideas, but we're kind of keeping that right now time to the cuff because we don't want people to be able to start Googling and start digging and doing on us right now.
well, before we had that policy, Don, Doug would just do it on a per case basis. Like he'd have a guy walk up with 3 kids and he goes, "How much to come in?" And Doug's not going to charge the guy $400.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, how about $110? So I would charge you full price. Your kids are paying $10. He would do it on a per case basis. And eventually it was kind of it was a policy, but not a policy. When Gary came on, we decided to make it a firm policy. Yes, 12 and under are free but before that, it was just a per case basis because Doug was a nice guy. And if he saw a guy walk up with, 3 or 4 kids, he wasn't going to say, "No, I'm sorry, you can't afford this car."
Yeah.
You guys, he wanted them in the con.
Yeah.
And so he would say, yeah, he would just guesstimate a price.
Well, with us, Chris Moneymaker says, "What do you do for offer kids when a family comes in?" With us, we're actually having kid-centric events. Like we've got a mini painting contest. We've got droids and robots coming from Star Wars and such. They're going to be there. Kids will be able to interact with and take pictures with. We're having like a kids coloring contest. We're going to be running a role-playing game for kids, like a contest for children. They're kind of bring them into gaming, that type of thing. But I don't know what you guys offer for anything kid-centric, Mike.
Yeah, we have some specific kid games. We do have people that volunteer to run games every year. I know Noah Green does it, a few other people. So yeah, we have kid games, and they actually go over really well usually. God knows the GMs that run those events deserve a medal because it could get out of the younger the kids, the more out of control the event can get. But they're having fun, right? That's what you care about is you want the kids to come and have fun because you want a kid to come to a convention, their first experience to be really fun. You want them to have a great time, and so that's I think that's important. I know a lot of cons they don't really frown on kids, but if a kid appears at a table, everybody kind of like, great. But that's up to the DM. We have the DMs are able to list on there. I want just an adult audience. That they can say, kids friendly, not kid friendly. They're able to say that in the description.
M. Mellon says it feels like travel and hotel costs are main constraints, not the price of the con.
You're probably right.
Again, it depends. Like with our hotel, they're giving us a deal. I mean, $129 a night for convention goers, and their normal rate's like $169 a night. So they're dropping $40 a night off. Awesome.
Oh, that's nice. That's
really
nice.
That was really cool of them. Plus, what they did with us was they got a bar and a restaurant there that's normally closed on weekends. And I basically just said to them, I said, "Hey, listen, you know how much money you're leaving on the table here?" And I had a convention with the general manager, and the general manager said, "You're right." So now they're staying open late. On the weekend, both the bar and the restaurant. So
nice.
It's nice to be part of have a hotel that's willing to do things with you and work with you and understand.
That's a good point too, Don. Yeah, if you get a good repertoire, because it's weird to me in this day and age, and I know you've had issues about this, Don, to get people who schedule a con, they don't like games or don't know games or don't want games. It doesn't make any sense because anything I don't care if it's a lawnmower convention, furries, okay, but it's in there filling up rooms. Why would they care? Just get it. And most gamers are respectful, older people who spend a lot of money. It drives me crazy at this day and age. You still find some convention venues that are like, "Oh yeah, we don't want gamers here," or we don't want your kind of people here. Why? It makes no sense.
Well, I'll tell you
what.
What really keyed in the general manager with us was, like he said, he goes, "You guys are going to be at tables playing games. I know what happens at my buddy's house when we game in his house with board games. We drink. And I'm like, that's exactly it, and so
Absolutely.
he was
Yeah, so
worried
that
about
makes
trying
no
to
sense because they
get something worked out with them where we have people be able to order at their tables. They're trying to figure something out for us. And actually, you were kind of the inspiration of that with us, with your barmaids that you guys got, your convention
Wenches.
serving wenches, yeah.
is we wanted to make it where people didn't have to get up away from the table if they don't want to, because where the bar's at in location to where the gaming room is at, it's actually just kind of a short little walk. So trying to make something convenient for people to be able to order food and drink.
So that's another point I bring up. What makes a good convention, I think, is food options. And I'll be the first to say that I think North Texas, I mean, we're kind of stuck where we're at, which is we have a restaurant in the hotel, we have a Denny's across the street. And that's really it. So that's why, that's why we've invested very heavily in food trucks. And every year we'll have at least 3 food trucks because we're not in the best location when it comes to food, food venues. And I think that's very important because, when you run a con, you think, okay, gaming, sure. But you don't know, like you said about drinking, people come and they eat too. They want to eat. They want to eat during the games. They want to eat after the games. They want to eat late night out, after they're through. And if you don't have any really food options around there, I think it limits your audience in a lot of ways.
Well, that's one thing that we have in Battle Creek is we have a ton of food options locally, a ton. So,
we have some close by, but they're not within walking distance. We have a little hub of restaurants about 2 miles away, which isn't far. But if you come to the convention, you don't have a car, you got to have a drive there. Our hotel, unfortunately, the hotel we're at does not. It only goes back and forth to the airport. The
do they allow Uber Eats or anything like DoorDash?
Yeah, they do allow Uber Eats, so
cool.
Which is, but a lot of hotels don't do that either. They won't only let you eat food on premises, and that's tough too. So that's something very important to look at. What to me makes a good con. I don't like or enjoy cons that really limit your food options. I think it makes it looks chintzy and cheap. And kind of greedy, like, hey, we just want you to eat our crappy. I mean, a lot of convention centers do that. No, we want you to eat our crappy convention center food. You can't bring in anything, and that's one of the reasons why Alex has his deal at Game Hole, where he has a huge food court where they has food trucks, because it's fair just to say no. You have to eat our crappy convention food, and you're stuck.
Well, we got lucky. The hotel that we're at actually has a really decent menu. We have it on the website. They got actually a decent menu. Everything from burgers to a steak to Italian food. I mean, they got a fair, especially compared to what we got hit with the first time. What was on the menu, Eric? The first time was what? A brat and a what burger?
Oh God, yeah.
Some people live off that. But, our issue with the hotel is just that it's expensive and it's not very many options, and it's a small dining room. I mean, Eric's seen it, and Glenn has. You can't fit more than 6 people in there. You have to have other options, and for the most part, we'd rather have people not have to travel. We were trying to make things easier for them, so we try a variety of food trucks, and that seems to. We're also very lucky. Our hotel allows food trucks. Some venues don't allow food trucks. I know Page does. They don't. The venue there does not allow food trucks, which help them. Ron and I have talked about it. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it would help them a lot if there was.
And the venue has basically no food but pretzels and hot dogs. Pretzels were $6. Soda was I don't know, 10.
What was $10?
I know I bought 1 pretzel and 2 sodas for Rach and I, and it came to $22.
Jesus Christ!
That's Disney World prices, right?
Yeah. Well,
I thought $9 for a burger and fries at the convention we're going to now. I was worried about that being too high, but geez, I'm going to go ahead and embrace those prices at the hotel.
Those prices are fine, man.
$9 is great. $9 is great, Tom.
Yeah. Also, to be fair, in some of those venues, it's not the hotel that's dictating that you can or can't bring certain things in. Sometimes it's the local health department that says you can or can't.
That's once again You're absolutely right, Steve. You have to look at what the local policies are. I mean, do they, a lot of people love, convention centers are a great place to have a convention, but a lot of conventions are very restrictive. Some allow no drinking, some allow no outside food. I mean, you got to be very careful because if you let's say you get book a convention center, you don't really look into it, and you get there like, oh, by the way, there's no outside food allowed, and our food court closes at 6 p.m. and that's it.
Hey, Mike.
Mike,
screwed. Remember that first hotel North Texas was in, that business hotel that closed everything on the weekend?
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
Pro tip:
Yes.
Pro tip: if the venue doesn't allow outside alcohol, there's this thing called nips. They usually sell for $1, and they fit in your pocket.
Oh, okay. Those nips. I thought we were talking some other nips, but no.
Cover your nips, damn it.
Mine are covered.
I got to bounce to my Discord. This is a great conversation. Keep it going without me. As I step out, maybe Mike shifts up. I have no
I see
idea.
you again, Eric.
Run.
Bounce as well. I gotta go help.
We're going to have this guy there also. He's booting up right now. Who's that?
Yeah.
I'm afraid to even ask. All right. Thank you.
Say hi to everybody.
All right. I'm out of here.
Eric's
I gotta
gotta
go help somebody with something.
I'm going to move up 2 squares. This is great.
Great compliment.
This is like Hollywood Squares.
Kick him out. Kick him out.
Later, Tom. We miss you. We love you. Bye.
But
Paul in for the win.
What's that?
So Paul in for the win.
All right, we got rid of those buzz kills. No.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Start talking
I'll
about
talk
nips
there.
and everything else now we can.
Them Bubs is out of here.
So, but yeah, no. I just think that the whole thing with with us, it's convention's new, and I've made it and I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I've made it no secret that you're kind of like our template we've been looking at.
I
Because
appreciate it. I mean, I think the secret of the good con and the cons that I like the most, they're ones that they evolve organically. They just kind of, you start out. I think Chris had said earlier, hey, what's to start a con? The best thing to do, and you have a good idea. Civic Center is a great idea. Just start out small, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then just work from that. And then you'll evolve. You'll start evolving. You'll say, okay, here's something that people like. Here's what they don't like. Like one of the reasons we have serving girls is because that was something that people asked about. They said, man, I would love to eat while I'm doing doing a game, but I really don't have the time to run and get it and this and that. And we had a guy there, Jeff Dale, who used to write a lot of Judges Guild stuff. And his real name's Paul, but then Jeff Dale's his pen name. But his daughter was a serving wench at a local Renaissance fair. And he says, well, she's willing to come up and grab food for people for tips and stuff. And so she did it, and it was a hit. People were like, this is so great. I can order food at my table. And so we just expanded from there. I had a friend that was a professional well, that's what she did. That was her job. Was she worked professionally. She would work bar backs at conventions, and she was I don't know what you call them, publicity girls. They're the girls you see at like car openings and restaurant openings, and they hand out stuff, whatever. And she said, "Oh, I'd love to work your con. I love gaming." And then she had some friends, and so on. And it's evolved the system we have now. We have 4 girls that come every year, and they're professional. I mean, that's their job. That their job is, they do that. But that's one thing that just evolved organically out of, boy, it'd be great if we could get people food, and the best part of it, Don, is that now other conventions copy us.
Yeah.
Because the conventions go like, oh, yeah, we have serving girls. We're like, we did that 15 years ago, dude. Yeah, we've had that for a while. So, but nobody did that before we did it. Nobody did that.
Joe Block is not going to let us live down the Arby's Crack House.
Oh yeah,
you have to have been there to understand this, okay? There's this Arby's right outside our old venue, and Joe's right. This place is just like, this Arby's was like the most. I wouldn't doubt they're fucking crack and methamphetamine out the back door right through.
What neighborhood is this con in?
No, this is our first one. We were actually in a nice area, but it was just like this little mini block by the airport that was just a little center of not the best place in the world.
Yeah,
so
Hoodsville.
Where we're at now is really nice.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear it. That's another thing about cons. You got to get a nice place, a nice area.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
Chris, I say, Chris, if I know Don is amenable and I am too. If you ever want to contact me or Don, just let us know. Any advice I can give you about running a con, I'd be happy to. I know Don would too. It only helps us to have more and more small cons.
That's me. That's my attitude. It's like some conventions act like they get pissed off if you ask them for advice. It's like, no, more the merrier. I mean, let's get more conventions going,
Mhm.
I have yet to go to a bad con. Now, bad players at a con, that's another thing.
I can't stop that.
And I'll tell you guys right now, and I'm sure Mike will confirm this, if you're going to run a convention, though, it's work. I mean, it ain't like you're gaming and having fun the entire weekend. You're busting your ass. You're working your ass off that entire weekend.
Oh, Don?
I had fun at other cons. I just got back from a con in East Texas called Long Con. I had a blast. I had more fun there than I had at my con because what are you doing during your con? You're running around making sure everything's working, and you're not sitting down and having fun. Yeah. And so, it is. It's kind of you just have to do it because you love gaming and love to see other gamers because you're not necessarily going to have the best time at your own con by any means. You're going to be running around.
I'm sorry.
Putting out fires.
I want to ask Don a quick. WizardCon last year, did you have to bounce anybody?
We had one incident with a guy with a service dog. He was a vendor, and the service dog was growling at people. And so they made complaints. The convention came up to me and said, "Listen, you gotta get a leash on him because his dog is loose." I talked to him. The guy was not happy about it, but he put a leash on it. But he made sure everybody knew that we were making him leash his dangerous. Watch out for my vicious dog, he would say as he walked by. It's like your dog's growling at people, guy. I mean, service dogs don't growl at people. And I'm not talking about people. And people weren't walking up to it to be mean. The dog was wandering, growling at people.
Oh.
Yeah, you're liable for that, Don. Yeah, that's liability. Yeah, you can't have that happen.
And then you got Heidi and Heidi and Eric Gygax Garland who bring their little dog, and that dog is like the most well-behaved little thing in the world. But then the service dog who's got the service vest on, all that, it was a problem. So
that's too bad. I mean, so long as I've at North Texas, I think I can count on one hand how many people that have been bounced from the con. Not very many. For 18
no, and that's a funny thing. Out of the entire weekend, that class that was my major issue, and I was just so happy. I was just like, if that's my biggest issue, I got to worry about for my first convention, first 3-day convention at that, then I'm going to go ahead and take that and take it as a win.
Yeah, I would.
But
yes, it is, Matthew.
From that goes Hammer. Yep.
Honestly,
that's the thing. That's another thing. I don't know how Mike. Go ahead, Mike. What
are you saying, Mike?
We didn't hear you, Mike.
I was all the I attend. Honestly, I think the least drama is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But Chris Lundgren says we use Cal State Fullerton Campus Convention Center for a small convention. Many community colleges and options. And that's the thing with us. We're very limited here in my area where we can have conventions at. Battle Creek has a lot of hotels, but this hotel is the only one with convention space, and it's not anything large, but we're not wanting to exceed 400 to 500 people anyways at our convention. That's what we want to cap at. We're not going to go any more than that.
Well, to use another convention that I used to go to as an example, when they first started out, they had the what is the groups that you get together and you do baseball, cards, stuff like that on college campuses? But
they're the Comic-Cons.
Yeah, it's just the groups where you get together and everybody does the same thing and stuff. Anyways, they were the anime clubs. That's what I'm thinking of. They were the anime club on campus, and they started JFAX. And they went to one of they ran the convention over in one of the lecture buildings, and they ran it there for years and years and years. But eventually the thing got so big, the college says, okay, y'all move out into your own arena now because we can't have you here because we don't have anything large enough for you anymore.
Well, that's what happened at Kalamazoo at their convention. They had their gaming convention. I forget what they called it, but it was there for years. And they ended up telling them, you guys got to move. This is too big.
Yeah.
So they just, instead of moving, they shut it down.
Ew.
So
that's a bummer.
That's a bummer. What did you, Mike, what did you cap at?
Happy to talk to you, yeah.
we're capped at 600 now, and that's it's probably not getting any bigger than that. We were capped at 500, but really we were having 600 because 500 was how many tickets we would sell, and then we do walk. We're having another 8 so walk-ups. So we're really not letting more people in the convention. Easier for Gary that way they're pre-registered, and so we're getting that's pretty much what our real number was anyway. It was about 600. But
we're doing pretty good.
I would say
only right now. Our website's only been up for 3 days, and we've already got over 125 people registered in 3 days.
That's great. That's awesome.
So that's doing really well compared to last year where we were at.
I would say one of the things discussion of the convention is I would look at also attendance and venue, the venue versus the attendance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to a convention called Tyler Rose Con. We went there because Jim Ward was going to be there, and Doug and I, myself, Doug, my brother, and Zach Glazer all said, let's go and hang out with Jim, because how often do you get Jim at a convention, a small convention? And we went there, and the guy had triple booked convention, not double booked, triple
booked.
Oops.
Fire Marshal had a ball with that, didn't
it? It was at a Holiday Inn, not a really giant fashion with the triple booked. Fire Marshal was that bad. The dealer room, you had to walk in a line, stop everybody behind you, and nobody could go forward. It was so bad that Jim was running a game.
How in the hell did they manage the gaming area with that?
And Doug said, nope. I don't think the guy think he just saw the money, and people kept signing up.
And have a cap.
He never cut it off. He wouldn't cut off the cutoff, and so it went past the initial number. It went double past the initial number. It got to triple the initial number because he's making money, Don. He didn't care all his money, but it was so miserable, and he had problems years after that because people didn't want to come to his con because they knew it was going to be jam packed full of.
Not only that, but what happens if day 2 of the convention or day 1 even the fire marshal shows up and shuts him down for the weekend? You're done.
This would have been shut down second. But we went and got a private room for Jim because they had some private rooms there. Doug went out of his own pocket and ran to a private room and said, Jim, you're running your rooms in here. You're not going to run in that madhouse down there. So it worked out great. And we got to be in a Gamma World game with Jim Ford, which is cool too.
Yeah.
But no, he ran we've got to because the guy is like, he's like 70 something years old and he's cramped. I mean, you couldn't back your chair. Your back of your chair touched the back chair of the other table. But the guy booked. And so I think a lot of what makes a good con is to have a reasonable amount of people based on your venue.
Yeah.
And, and you don't want to be too crowded. You don't want to be running a game in a room with 6 tables, and a lot of conventions do that because they want to maximize space. They put as many people as they can per room, but that's not always the best thing for a con because, I don't like that. I'm old. I can't hear very good. You don't want people all crammed into a room. So definitely look at, if it's a smaller venue and they say they have, 800 people, you might want to step back and say, I don't know if I want to go there because that looks like that's going to be a mess. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crowded.
Yeah. And if they're sitting there being greedy like that with trying to rake in as absolutely much money as possible, you're not going to have any fun because it could be all about the money and, forget you guys and your gaming, just come and spend money and make me rich,
Well, it's just the clusterfuck of it. You're sitting there and you're just jammed in like that. Nobody likes that. I mean, nobody wants to have experience like that.
Like I said, when we're all getting older, it's not like there's, the cons, it's mostly, a lot of it's older people, let's face it, our age or that vicinity. And a lot of us have, hearing issues, health issues. I mean, we have a policy at North Texas. We don't have any more than 2 tables per room. We could get a lot more tables in these rooms, but we don't want 80 people crammed in a room gaming. We would like to have 2 tables of, 5 or 6 or 8 people. Rather than 4 tables of 8 people, because you get one guy with the cold, he starts coughing. You don't want to get 40 people sick. So
how hard is it to vet vendors?
It's easy, but our problem has always been. I've never met a vendor yet that didn't think he would do great at our con. We had to explain to him why he would. No, we had a knife seller once that swore to Doug, "I will do so good at your con. Every con I go to, I make so much money." And Doug, bless his heart, tried to talk him out of it. Said, "We are a gaming convention," and this guy would not take no for an answer. And so
that's the thing with this being a smaller con too, though, is you want to fill your vendor tables up, but like I know this is a big difference, a big shift. Like last year, we didn't get a lot of gaming. It's awake. We didn't. Sorry. We didn't get a lot of gaming centric vendors. Where this year, thankfully, most of our vendors are gaming centric.
Good.
So
Mike gets the most interesting non-gaming vendors sometimes.
So I have talked to Glenn about this before. The thing is, you want a variety of vendors, and that's one thing that makes a good gaming con. Is look, you're going to get people, especially when you're going to be desperate, just to have vendors. Like if you're selling something, you want to come to our con, fine. We had people like that at the beginning, but bigger, you start getting more selective, and you're like, we want more gaming oriented stuff. You don't have to have the tchotchke guys as much anymore, and that's not saying anything against them. It's just that you don't want 8 people at your convention selling dice towers because they're all cutting into each other's sales. So we try to have a wide variety of vendors. We'll have a miniature guy. We'll have a dice guy. We have, as many people that want to sell all of you guys because you're going to have different stock. So that's one thing. If I'm looking for a convention I want to go to, I look at the dealer hall and I say, is there a variety of people here? I don't go to conventions if it's just all, if these guys are all selling dice. I don't need any more dice.
Right. Well, I'm an author. I'm going to have, some space there.
Yeah, but you do sci-fi and fantasy books, whereas probably someone selling romance novels or something like that would not be as good of a fit.
That's
for
what we're talking about. Yeah, right. And we've had people look. We've had to turn up. We had a guy one year wanted to come, and he wanted to sell his. He goes, "I want a table to sell my game at." So I asked him a few questions. What's your game about? It was a car racing game, and I was honest with him. I said, "This is an RPG convention. I'm not saying you're not going to get anybody at your table. It's just that that's not the kind of thing that we do here." So eventually I talked him out of it. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't trying to make money. It's just that I knew that he would come there and probably not sell a lot of copies of his game. It wasn't something that would be interested in most people that come to our convention. And a lot of people are just, I see conventions. I went to a game convention. There was a guy there. I swear to God, I'm not lying about this. He was selling beach towels and beach balls. At a game convention, and I guess they just didn't vet the guy and said, "Okay, he's going to buy a table. We don't care."
At least he wasn't selling Witch Mountain.
He wasn't selling Witch Mountain, but he was selling beach. He was selling beach stuff, and I don't know if she was there. For all I know, he was a relative that they promised a table to, and said, if you want to sell some beach towels. But he had a variety of beach towels. I will say that he had about 30 different varieties of beach towels, and some had they would have dragons on them. Some had dragons and guys on them, but it was not a good fit for a gaming convention at all. So
Chris brings up LARPing, cosplay, if you will, at conventions. We're not specifically advertising it, but like last year we had a couple of guys dress up as wizards. They were pretty interesting. I mean, they did a really good job dressing up. So I mean, we're not advertising specifically. We're not doing a cosplay contest or nothing like that. But with us, if you want to dress up, go ahead, knock yourself out, have fun.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem. If people want to dress up, that's great. Yeah. And we have a few people dress up. We're mostly an older crowd, so we don't get a lot of nobody wants to see Glenn in a chainmail bikini. At least
I might.
But if somebody wants to dress up, we have people dress up, and it's not a big deal at our convention. Some cons it's a lot bigger than obviously it's huge at some cons. They've got it at this point.
I mean,
cosplay, but
the most we get is like Steve Picorni putting on a wizard hat. That's about it.
We get a few people dressed up this year, Glenn. We had a couple people put some armor on, swords, but it's one thing. Like Don said, we don't advertise it like, oh yeah, this is a big deal. It's just like, if you want to dress up, fine. Whatever. We're not going to make a big deal of it. If you want to have fun, however you want to have fun. We are anti-furry though, no furries. I know talk about that, but they just have a bad rep. for some reason, the furries and the vampire guys have got bad reps.
They got really bad reps.
And it just, we're kind of out on both those. We don't have
Or vampire, it was cyberpunk. Yeah.
we don't have any live vampire events either because that
Yeah, Gene Spreckle. He was the necromancer at WizardCon. He actually, Gene, I just said it a few minutes ago. I didn't know who you were. These guys did a top-notch job of dressing up. I mean, they really put a lot of thought into their costumes. Really, really good job. So, Gene, hats off to you on that. But furries, I don't know. Steve, you bring your furry costume this time?
The only furry thing coming with me is going to be my cat.
Well,
Oh, but all right. Well,
I was going to say real
What's that?
quick that this is not a well-known fact, but Dallas has one of the largest furry conventions in the United States.
I can believe it.
It is held at a secret location. The hotel does not advertise it. They fill up the
wonder
entire
why.
hotel. They fill up the entire hotel. It is not advertised. It is kept. It is on the down low. I know about it, and certain people know about it. But one weekend a year, that hotel is entire furries. It is all furries, and the hotel loves it because they make a lot of money. But they do zero advertising of it. They will not let it out because
in the furry community, you know. Yeah.
Mhm.
yes,
if you know, you know.
It's one of the largest in the United States, and it's wild. It's put it that way. So.
I think that furries are definitely different. Gene says to be adding a new wizard look this year. That's good. Hell yeah, come on, bring them on. Bring your friends too, Gene. Have them dress up.
I remember back in the day, like in California, at DundraCon and those cons there, the SCA used to always come out and do demos.
Yeah.
Well,
that's another thing. The SCA's really got a huge presence in Kalamazoo.
They could do like fighting demos and stuff too. They come out
We're
there
not set up for that
here
where we're at. That's the big thing about it.
Yeah, you got a nice outdoor area. Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah,
I wish we had an SCA. We don't really have a presence. It wouldn't bother me at all if we did. If somebody wanted to come and do that, that'd be great. But we had a couple guys wanted to put on an archery demonstration at one point, but we couldn't really figure out how to. It was going to be logistically really hard, and you don't want arrows flying through a convention. That gets
not good.
It's kind of discouraged.
Yeah.
But we would have been okay with if we could have figured out a way to do it. We just couldn't figure out a way to do it. So
But gentlemen, it is going on 9:30 here.
It is.
We should wrap this up. Mike, thank you for coming on tonight.
Which is why I don't allow it in my game because you can't arch a longbow in a dungeon.
What's that?
What's that, Mike?
Oh, I said they showed us why you can't carry a longbow into a dungeon.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of arch in there, and if you're in a 10 by 10 hallway and you've got 3 fighters and a magic user in front of you, you're gonna hit someone in the back of the head. There's no way.
Crossbows are better.
Crossbows are better.
Crossbows are good.
But all right, gentlemen, I think we're going to go ahead and tune this off. Like I said, it's going on 9:30. Been here almost an hour and a half. Mike, thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on there. Like I said, this is one of the few things I know anything about. So I'm happy to give my knowledge. Like I said, anybody if you're interested in starting a convention, you want information about a convention, I will share. I won't promise it's the best advice. I will share any advice I can because I think the more convention, the better. And I'm sure Don feels the same way.
100% agree.
So.
That's my big thing. More the merrier. That's when I found about Central New York. I was like, hell yeah, Roger. Let's what can we? I reached out to Roger and said, can we push your convention on our convention page? And me and Roger did some co-sharing back and forth, just to try to help each other out because we're both brand new. So
I heard you did a great job the first year too. I heard it was good.
Thank you. We tried. it was
guys
definitely learning curve. So
you and Central New York, they both did good jobs from what I've heard. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
And Mike, this is my book. Go buy it.
In the Fat Orc Cities.
Yeah. It's on Amazon. Go buy it.
Bring a copy to North Texas this year. We can sell some copies at my table. So
Thank you. We're
gonna stock Glenn's book at my table at the con. So
awesome. All right, guys. Well, again, Steve,
thanks for letting me on. I appreciate it, guys.
Mike, appreciate it. Glenn, appreciate it, guys.
Pleasure.
Everybody in chat, thank you very much. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll see what's happening. So.
Good night, folks.